So in our last video, we were talking about the alchemy of character and plot, and how that creates that synergy creates the magic of stories. So in this one, I want to talk about how it's done well and how perhaps it's disrupted, or when it's disrupted and why. So the story that's done really well, I think, to the point where it's hard to distinguish between the character and the plot, is Love Hard. It's a movie on Netflix. You have a woman named Natalie who has been catfished. Excuse me, I still can't breathe. I'm so sorry. It's totally fine. Natalie, who gets catfished by a bunch of guys on her dating app, and then she meets the one. He's amazing. He's incredible. She goes to visit him for Christmas, and lo and behold, he doesn't look like his photo. Oh no! So in the deep emotional panic of the moment, they come to an agreement. She will pretend to be his girlfriend, Josh's girlfriend, and Josh will help Natalie land the guy who's in the photo. This is all in the trailer. There are no spoilers. So what's interesting about this is you have a woman who had a string of disappointments, finally meets this guy, makes a big move immediately to get deeply disappointed. So that's a very intense emotional situation to be in. So the decision that she makes to agree to this deal, it might be bigger than a lot of the decisions that she would have made previously, but it still feels like her. Based on the information we have, it's like, yeah, I can see how you would do that, and you're just kind of I'm disappointed, I'm emotional, I'm tired, I'm in the wrong place, I'm gonna get this guy, no matter what it takes. I just need a win. I just need a win is kind of her headspace. And what's beautiful about this is you get a really clear psychological picture of her right off the bat. And then at that point, she has consequences. She has to walk this decision out. So she has to simultaneously land the guy. So she has to meet him. How is she going to act when she meets him? That's going to have an immediate consequence that she's going to have to follow through. Now, she also immediately has to pretend to be Josh's girlfriend, and that's going to have an immediate consequence as well. So each side of her coin that she's choosing to walk has immediate choices and immediate consequences, and it's just kind of a series of a domino effect, basically, of choice and consequence. Now, through this situation, you have her brushing up against situations where her perspective, her victim mentality, her I just need a win, it doesn't matter how, begins to kind of shift. It's rubbing up against Josh and how he's interacting with her, and the consequences of them acting as though they are in a relationship. That's going to create some more openness and more visibility that they have to kind of deal with as well. And it's really a beautiful organic plot that's really fascinating to watch, because the consequences are real. The consequences are true to her decisions, but also her decisions are true to her character. So you really have a beautiful magic around. And then you also have, like, it's a Christmas movie, so it has to be taken care of before Christmas. So how many days do we have before Christmas for this to work out? It's one of the smartest character-driven plots I've seen in a really long time. The second one would be the proposal for one major plot point, well, character arc point, that we can discuss in another video. But I really respect the writers on this one, because they knew what kind of movie they wanted to put out. They knew who their characters were, and they knew that this was going to be an experiment. And it felt like they were like, okay, if we put this guy in this room and this girl in this room, and we have this situation, what's gonna happen, and they kind of go hands off and they just kind of let it happen, and it's beautiful and it's organic and it feels really real and honest, and it's there's a magic to it that's really beautiful. Now that's when the magic happens, when you've done it really well. The other version is usually in longer running series, and I typically notice it when characters suddenly get together after a long run of sexual tension. They finally get together, and instead of this will they or won't they kind of trope, we suddenly have a marriage drama, or we have a jealousy drama kind of a thing that changes the dynamics of the relationships between the characters. And if it's not done well, you suddenly lose the entire psychological authenticity of the characters, and so their choices are being made not out of who the character is, but where the writers want the show to go. Hey baby, it's okay. This is my dog. She's having opinions. She feels very strongly about this topic. So when I find that when I notice this, but I don't notice this concept, is I'm not mad at the character for making a decision. I'm mad that the decision happened. So the distinction here is there are a lot of character decisions, like Love Hard. When Natalie decides to go after this guy and land this guy, I'm like, oh, don't make that decision. And I have secondhand embarrassment because she's making a decision and I am like, this is not gonna end well. Oh my God, you just please don't do this. But it's honest. And I have a lot of friends, and I even have myself, where we make decisions and I'm just like, oh yeah, we made that decision, that happened, oh no. And that's how I feel about it. That's honest. That's a character-driven thing. That's authentic. That's organic. But with Castle, say, it was a TV show that I absolutely adored. I love Casket so much. They're amazing. But there was a certain point where it felt like it wasn't the characters reacting, because it's like suddenly there was a jealousy or there was an insecurity that never existed before for these characters, and suddenly now that they're together, it's everywhere and there's just drama happening everywhere. And it felt like rather than having like the tension of these two characters who are really strong, really good for each other, who genuinely love each other, facing a situation and having to like deal with each other and deal with the situation and navigate it well the way they had, and the natural consequences therein, suddenly it was like they were creating their own drama. They were carrying it into the story, and they were like, you know what, this is the issue that I want to be pissed at you for today. And they unloaded it in the plot, and you were just like, where did this come from? We haven't seen this in 7 seasons. How? Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. And for me, I was like, why did that have to come up? And that's the problem. It didn't have to come up. It didn't have a psychological basis in the character, and the plot didn't need it. But the writers decided to put it in there. Now, I've seen a lot of characters or shows like How I Met Your Mother, where they kind of want to reset for a character and they want to kind of take them back to an earlier storyline, which is also, I think, to be honest, a violation of trust, because all of that work that the character has made in their arc suddenly goes away, and we go from season 7 to season 3. That's not fair to the character. It's not fair to the actors. It's not fair to the readers. It's not fair to the writers, and the story that they created. And we feel it. We know when something went off the rails, and that's honestly where the term "jumping the shark" comes from. Is the writers of Happy Days suddenly got a little excited, and rather than staying true to the genre of comedic reality that they'd been working on, they have the Fonz, while he was water skiing, jump an actual shark. And it's like, this, why did we think this was a good idea? Like, this feels like fan fiction at this point. It's very strange. And we don't want shows to do that, because suddenly you're not in the same genre. You're not in the same psychological journey. Suddenly you're just off in La La Land going, this would be fun. And I will say, as a writer, there are times when it would be super cool if we can just pull off that one scene, and it's amazing, and it's a great scene, and it would be so cool, and it would be such an interesting experience. But if there's no logical reason, no psychological reason for the characters to be in that scene, it shouldn't be in there. It shouldn't be in there. Because you're making the plot put a stranglehold on your characters. And that's not the point of it. The plot should service the growth of your character's arc. So that is my TED Talk for the day. Thank you for joining me. I will probably go into the proposal and come back to this concept many times, because it matters to me. It matters to me. So thank you for coming along, and like, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you next time.